one bad mother, head honcho at the Christian school. In a Podunk County in North Carolina, she'd crack a smile every couple blue moons, smoke like a freight train, 2 packs a day. Seeing kind of where we are, like, what would you suggest maybe our next step be?
What has been your biggest learning lesson that has changed your life?
Star Larkin was one bad mother, head honcho at the Christian school. In a Podunk County in North Carolina, she'd crack a smile every couple blue moons, smoke like a freight train, 2 packs a day.
Welcome to rBeatz. We're here in the studio. As you know, we try to find on local music somewhere. We go to different music scenes, find the best that we can find there. And we're coming to you with a group from the high country today, which we're going to talk about what that is, what area that is. It's funny that's high country because they actually have songs about being high in the country. And we have here with us the incredibly talented crew here. We got half of the band, but we got the lead singer, we got the guitarist, we have Pressly Laton, and then we have Daniel Ames, the guitarist of the band. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much for having us. We're happy to be here.
You know, it's one thing people know about me is that I love authentic food, I love authentic movies, and I love authentic music, and you guys are that. I mean,
thank you so much.
In a day and age where there's just, popularity sometimes outweighs, talent. It's great when you finally, get to those bands that just do it from their soul. So it was really cool. I met you at the Confluence Music Conference through my friend, the lovely Anna J. Anna J. Everybody loves Anna J.
Yeah,
give her the shout out. But yeah, when she introduced me to you, I knew that you were country, but I didn't know that you had this rock edge. So we're going to get into that too, because
absolutely,
it's pretty authentic. So let's talk about. Let's go to you first.
Okay.
And let's talk about how you even maybe got interested in music.
Yeah. To make a long story not so short, my mother sang in church my entire life, and she still does to this day. And so I grew up going to church every Wednesday and Sunday and hearing her sing. And so it got me interested in it at an early age, I guess you could say. And I always got nervous on her behalf. Like, she'd sing solos in church, and we had a really small Baptist church that we went to when I was a kid, and it was maybe 100 people on a good day kind of place. And she would be up there singing, and I remember feeling so nervous for her. So that's kind of where it all started.
But those are the people that support you. They never,
my gosh,
no matter how bad you are, they never tell you suck.
Oh, yes.
They're like, bless your heart,
Yeah, bless your heart is the right word to use for that. I've had definitely some sour notes on that.
If you're talented like your mother, it's even better. So
yeah, she's wonderful.
Nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah, that's where it all started, was the church side of things.
So how'd you find this guy?
How did I find you, brother?
Was it charity work or was it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a cup on the side of the road. Through another friend who I was playing with him a little bit, and he was kind of pulling a couple people in together for a band, and we ended up playing, and then changed out some folks to where we are now.
Yeah, well, it's an incredible sound. So I was telling her, it reminds me of if Jody Messina had hooked up with Leonard Skinner, and then they just had these which they did, but I mean, just authentic songs about people we would know. Like, I'm a city guy now. I like living in the city. I live near uptown, and I'm 2 minutes from every restaurant, and I do like that. But that's not how I grew up.
Right.
I also have this other side where I grew up in what they call Campbell County, Virginia, which is near Lynchburg, and where you race the hot rods on Wards Road. Everybody gets their 68 Chevy or whatever they have, and they've worked on them all year, and then they're out there doing that, or you're hanging out at the mall, or those kind of like real people. But you always had that grandfather that would take you to one of his friends he grew up with, and that person was like always crazy. They would have greased a stick in their frying pan, and I remember one guy actually had Playboy pictures thumbtacked to his wall in his living room.
You'll have that sometimes, won't you?
Right. And you have the aunts that are just the best to you, and the cousins that you want to see do real well, and sometimes they don't. And I listen to your songs, and I hear all these different people that I grew up with. So it resonated with me pretty well.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. So I'm glad.
We're gonna get into that. I want to even go a little bit more into your influences, because you were captivated by CMT videos and let's see, award shows. Which award shows, by the way?
Oh, CMAs, CMT awards, anything that skewed country. I watched every award show when I was coming up and loved it.
So what about those shows attracted? Was the performances? Or
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I was obsessed as a kid with Shania Twain and the Chicks. Those were my go-tos beyond anybody else. And so anytime that I knew that there was an award show, you could pretty much bank on the fact that they were going to be playing. And I didn't grow up going to concerts. I didn't go to my first concert until I was, I think, 12. And so I only had that association. So I got to see the performances just on TV versus in person. So I just loved seeing the entertaining kind of side of things with the music that I loved hearing on the radio. So
yeah, and the artists that you're talking about there, they didn't do things the normal way. Obviously they brought new sounds, things that were different that got them a lot of attention. So,
yeah.
I mean, those were pretty cool to watch. What about the music videos with the CMT thing? What were your favorites back then?
Chattahoochee, for sure. I mean, who isn't going to like Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson?
That's what I'll talk about Alan. It's you can hear the hardwood floors in the studio when you hear an Alan Jackson album. You feel Nashville, like the old Nashville.
Yeah.
But you feel it when you hear one of his projects.
I agree. Cool. I agree. Yeah. It's incredible stuff, for sure. But
so, a word to our viewers. She's warned me ahead of time that she goes on tangents. So, we're going to see if we can get her on some tangents.
Oh, it ain't going to take much effort, Terry. I promise you that.
So, tangent alert. Anyway, so you've got a band that's named after you, and you have, of course, you have Daniel here.
Yeah.
And then we have Austin and Ray.
Yes.
And how does collaboration with this band influence your songwriting and your performance?
So Daniel and I would say are the principal songwriters, and it ends up being that I'll write lyrics and a vocal melody and a general chord progression to something and send it to him, and then he's the one that brings it all to life. Now, sometimes he'll write a song that has no words to it and sends it to me and says, make something up. And so we end up with songs like Hee Haw Me Maw. And that's not out yet, but it will be next year. And so, yeah, we've got kind of a flow happening now, I think. And he'll write the parts to everything for bass lines and drums. And,
really?
And then Ray and Austin bring their own flavor to that. So he kind of gives a general guideline. Would you describe it the same way?
Yeah, it's rare that we'll come in with something that's completely done and you play this part, you play this part. I'll put something down and then, Austin will look at me and say, I'm not playing that. And, he'll add something of his own, which I think that's where we get our sound really is we're all coming from different backgrounds, She's obviously strictly country. I listen to next to no country growing up, and so we're bringing in different genres, different ideas, and I think that's been good. We've figured out as far as writing goes that we can't sit down together and write something. It really is. It's that bouncing ideas off of each other. She'll send me something, I'll say I hate it. Try this instead. I'll send her something, and she says I can't write words to that. Try this instead, and then it goes back and forth a few times. Then we'll bring it to the other guys, and they'll kind of add in their flavor to it, and we end up with what we got.
So let's talk about that. So what do you listen to?
I grew up mostly rock and roll with my dad. I got a little bit of country from my dad and from my sisters, but a lot of old rock, a lot of old
corporate rock, classic rock.
No, mostly classic rock, but everything. He listened to a broad range of stuff, and so I got all of that. I really was drawn more to as far as the guitar side of things goes. I was drawn to kind of the more soul R&B, the simpler stuff, and I think that has worked well with what we do. We don't have as large of a band as a lot of these country groups. We don't have pedal steel and
you don't need it,
and keys and fiddle and banjo and all this stuff. And so for me, I'm sitting here thinking, all right, how do we come up with a good full sound? That doesn't lend itself to playing Slash or Eddie Van Halen or whatever. You're looking at more kind of that simpler, that rhythm stuff.
Yeah, and then, speaking of rhythm, the rhythm section, when you have a great rhythm section, it changes everything. And, drummer is key. I heard Phil Collins say that on a show one time. If you have a good drummer, you have a good band. You have a great drummer, you have a great band. And I've seen that, proven time again. I was telling one of the Nashville drummers that I had on not too long ago, we were talking about this song in the studio. We went in the studio, and this was a decently, priced recording. And we had this one song that was just so flat. And all that happened is the drummer changed it into a shuffle that was a little more complex, and that ended up being a radio single just from that switch.
Yeah.
That's how important that rhythm section can be. And there's so many, great lines that where the bass comes in, to start the song, that have been iconic. So when you put those elements together, you have something, really authentic. And speaking of that, let's roll into the music. So the first thing, of course, was the EP. And what inspired the themes for Didn't Stand a Chance?
Yeah. 3/5 of it inspired by my husband, technically. But there's 5 songs on the EP. And so Gypsy Soul, Didn't Stand a Chance, and Mountain Man are all inspired by the same person, who is my husband.
Oh,
and
that gives me a whole new take on it.
Yeah.
I've listened to it,
Absolutely, because my husband is from Banner Elk originally. And so he grew up right on the side of Banner Mountain itself. So he went to Watauga High School, all that kind of stuff. And so I met him about 3 weeks before I graduated from App State undergrad, Appalachian State University, for those of you who aren't familiar. But it's in Boone, North Carolina, where we're from. And I met him 3 weeks before I graduated, and he introduced me to a side of music that I hadn't experienced before. So all of my kind of music consumption was more mainstream until I met him. When I met him, he introduced me to Jason Isbell and Whiskey Myers and Tyler Childers and Coulter Wall and all of these bands that I absolutely love now, even more so than what I was hearing before I met him. And so it just kind of started this new introduction to a world of music that I hadn't been in. So Spirit of the Hills, neighborhood theater down the road.
Yeah, love that place.
Went to go see Coulter Wall. I'm pretty sure it was Coulter Wall, Cody Jinks, and Tyler Childers all in the same night. But this was back in 2017 or something like that. So Spirit of the Hills was inspired by that night because you got the church across the road from neighborhood theater. So it kind of gave me this. Exactly. That's exactly what had stood out to me, Terry. I'm not joking. I've never seen, because I grew up Baptist. And it's we don't have neon on our church signs, So it just stood out to me. And, coming down from Boone to come down to a show that's in the city, but you're still hearing these outlaw country people, red dirt country, whatever you want to call it. So it came from a lot of that introduction to music that I hadn't heard before, in addition to the fact that I had met my husband. And then Old George is just its own thing. I
love those lyrics.
Thank you so much.
Such great stories.
Yeah,
I think I know him.
Yeah. Now with Tyler Childers and Old George, I thought of that song because of Tyler Childers' song "Bus Route," because it has this verse. The second verse talks about the school bus driver having a paddle, and it immediately made me think of my principal's paddle that she literally named George.
Oh, we had those back in the day, didn't we? They don't have them now.
She would carry it around.
But this guy, he's drilled holes in the shop, so it leaves mark. All those things you will hear.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So
it was pretty crazy.
And
you brought up a great point we've never covered on the show, but there, meeting a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend who has a different musical taste that draws you into something or has a certain style can shape you. If you ever read Lenny Kravitz's biography, which is a great biography, he was trying to be Prince or something Romeo Blue, I think was his name, back in that day. And he was trying to find his style. He was talented, but he couldn't find it. So he meets Lisa, Bonet. Yeah. They get together. She's got this 70s, kind of vibe that she's doing. He loves that, picks up on it, has become his whole career. Yeah. Just from being introduced, to that world. You can shape a great artist just from coming into contact with maybe even somebody who might not even be a musician. Yeah. But they are a fan of something, and it draws you in. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So we'll cover. First of all, let me just say about Blue Skies Cryin. That is just the easiest vibe, and
thank you.
I don't even know where that song comes from. I mean, you can tell about that, but it's just this cool. I don't even want to say drive time. I think this is sitting at home or, laying on the beach or in your cabin or whatever it is, kind of song
cabin
that just,
vibes for sure.
Yeah. So tell me about that one.
Yeah. With Blue Skies Cryin, that was one of the more recent songs that I had worked on, because like all of the EP stuff is probably 6 to 8 years old. All of the songs on
doesn't
those.
Sound it. So
thank you.
Yeah.
But Blue Skies I wrote last year, and like during the last 2.5 years that I've been truly pursuing music, I've in some ways lost my mind a little bit, and like lost kind of I've struggled mentally with like rationalizing what I'm doing, because I feel honestly like a little bit foolish trying to go down this road, because I know how hard it is.
You're not foolish at all. You got the goods.
And if like as an outside perspective, if I were talking to myself, I wouldn't say those things to me, but that's what's going on in my mind. And so I've been struggling with that for about 2.5 years since trying to pursue this full time. And it just came from like being really sad, and I really loved the rain, and it just like I needed somebody to kind of cry with in a way, and I love sitting on the porch.
Just say the
like
opening
listening.
lines.
I like to stare at the sky and say, "I dare you to cry," when I can't stand doing it alone. There we go. Yeah. It's weird to not sing it.
No, it's just such a great line.
So sadness.
To open with. And of course, you went there from, I guess this is your latest single, which I definitely know this guy, but Hill He's Raised.
Yeah, we talked about him already.
You really
stuff
did.
Tacked up on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is one of the things I think when I talked about getting high in the country, I think this is that person too. So
yeah, just
why don't
a
you
little
both chime
bit.
in on this one?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to
Hell He's Raised is probably over a decade old, actually, but it's about my adopted uncle. And he's known my family my entire life, and so I just kind of grew up around him. And hello, Uncle Rich, if you're watching. But he's a crazy man, and he's a bit of a pothead, too, so it just kind of...
Yeah, the song implies more than a bit. But
he really should get 5% writing credit at the very least, because that first line of the song is something he says, and that's where I got that from. So he just, like, one night
saying.
We were over there singing at his house, and he's like... he'd taken a few trips outside, and he was like, "Man, I'm higher than a piss ant in a palm tree." And I just, like, at the time, I was like maybe, I don't know, like anywhere between 18 and 20. And that stood out to me, and I'm like, I'm going to write something with that. So that's where it came from.
I didn't know if that came from one of the great Greek philosophers or...
Maybe it did. Maybe he borrowed it from someone,
Okay,
but I heard it from him. And then this one brought it to life. Like, it would not sound like it does. Well, none of our stuff would sound like it does without this one. But really made it what it needed to be.
It's like you found your rebel cohort.
My gosh.
It's like you two should be on a bank robbing spree or something to the
I
southeast.
will lose my mind if he ever decides to do something different. But
we had that song on the back burner for a couple years, really.
Mm-hmm.
We tried it a couple times and just didn't like how it came out, and said forget that, and then came back to it maybe just about a year ago. Something about
somewhere
that.
in there.
And said, let's give this another shot. And it just ended up with a totally different sound than what we had before.
Oh, it's this driving rock rebel. I mean, when I was saying a combination of Jody, and because your voice has some tinges of that. You're definitely original compared to her, because she's got her own thing. You definitely have your own thing, but they're like reminiscent, parts there.
Yeah.
And then with adding this in, it's just like it sounded like Jody meets Leonard Skinner
Thank
kind
you
of a
so
thing
much.
with some of the classic rock.
I love both of
them. What was the group? American band. My mind's going. Mark Farner's group. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but you would know it. But it had kind of that sound as well. So your bio says that your voice, I'm gonna read this, reverberates with the soulful intensity of a Baptist hymn.
I didn't write that, but
I like that description though. But how do faith, spirituality, and your upbringing inform your lyrical content or performance?
Yeah. I think just having grown up going to church every Wednesday and Sunday, it was
were
just
the days. We don't do that
part
now.
of the culture that I grew up in. It's just like a very small town situation. So I feel like that those kind of go hand in hand for like where I'd kind of get inspiration from certain things. And you know, in a church where there's just like about 100 people, you know everybody and you're related to half of them. So it's like, I don't know, you bring different characters, and there's songs that I have that are not released that we don't even play, and they're about people in my either like direct family or like somewhat adjacent family, but it's all like Stanley County oriented. Like I was thinking through the other day, I was kind of writing down all of the songs that I've written, and I'm like, half of these are solely derived from Stanley County. And so I don't know, I think that all of those things kind of compile kind of where I kind of get, I don't really know how to put this into words, but kind of trying to pull those experiences from that and kind of build a picture with it in a way.
You paint great pictures.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and you can tell I
absolutely
don't do
great.
it verbally very well, but if I have time to sit down and think about it, I can make something happen, you know?
I think you're less of a tangent person than you think you are.
I'm glad you think so, Terry. Thank you, friend.
This is very interesting. In fact, you know, when you're talking about the Sunday and Wednesday, it just reminds me, this time of year, I miss that. You know, my dad was a preacher. He was a traveling evangelist.
I didn't realize that.
Traveled everywhere, and then he pastored a couple places. But sometimes in those smaller churches we would go into, you know, this time of year, they're doing things like making apple butter, or they're having some kind of Wednesday night social, and everybody's bringing food. So those,
trunk or treat,
right?
You know?
Yeah, the trunk or treat. You got to dress as a Bible character. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's that time of year.
It is that time of year.
So, and the area that you're in, I want to cover this a little bit, and we're going to roll into it even more in the second half. But you're from the high country. And so that is its own music scene right now, and it's become. I think I even saw them cover this on one of these new Amazon shows that's about a rock band. Like they sneak off from the rest of them, and they get to the mountains of North Carolina to see this legend that, you know, went off the music scene, and he's performing somewhere up there. But it's definitely a different scene. So let's first say what the high country area is.
Take it away, my friend.
Oh,
You're better at describing that than I am.
I'm going to upset people if I try to define
Oh,
this.
you know, it's up in the air.
Well, we're all kind of in the Boone area and surrounding area. So, you know, there's towns all 15, 20 minutes away there. Blowing Rock, Banner Elk, Newland. Up north, you got Todd, West Jefferson, kind of that whole area once you get up the mountains from Wilkesboro, from Lenoir.
Yeah, okay. Well, so that's what I've said. When you know North Carolina, it's like you guys are positioned well between Charlotte and these other two cities or towns that are between that are developing music scenes. That's going to be a great route for musicians, especially anything roots, you know, from blues to gospel to country and rock. It's going to be a great area for that. And you guys are like on the top tip of it. Plus, you're in this college town, which we know. My son went to that college, so I know it's ruckus.
Oh, really?
Oh, my son, when YouTube first started, and it was so small, you know, somebody sent me this video of this guy jumping off a roof onto a trampoline, wanted to show it to me. I looked at it, was my son.
Oh, no.
So I had to call him
Making
up,
daddy proud.
And then there was another thing. I look on Facebook, and there's this truck that's wrecked and is hanging over, like, it looks like it's got no wheels on it. It's hanging over, like, edge of this cliff up in, it's my son.
No kidding.
So, yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
I know how rowdy,
Rough Ridge sounds like.
That's cool in that area could be. So we're going to take a quick break, you know, to hear from our sponsors, find out what's going on in the world of rBeatz, which so many great things are going on. When we come back, we'll talk about this, and we're going to roll into the marketing of music and, you know, how things are done. And you know, you guys, you show up for stuff. You know, you show up and you represent your brand. So I want artists to hear a little more about that, so that will inspire the people that are listening. So, you know the drill. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with our friends Pressly and Daniel here in the rBeatz studio. See you in a moment.
Snuck through the window that she'd left unlocked, stole him off the hook beside the grandfather clock, took him to the woods and burned him to ash, put him in a jar along with the thatch stove.
Hey there, welcome to the Watch List, presented by DJ rBeatz, hosted by me, Greasy Keys, in the rBeatz VIP suite. We bring you the best of the best, live shows, streaming trends, and indie pop, and much more. You can stream now on the all-new ROQ radio on rBeatz.com, highlighting indie artists from all over the world. Focusing now on hashtag local music somewhere, hashtag Charlotte. This month, we have artists that have earned cross-pollination into more than one stream, and we are proud to announce all the streams that our favorite artists have dropped on. Check it out. right here on the rBeatz Radio Global Boutique Streaming and Media Network. Now, let's celebrate these incredible artists. Starting off with Zach Robbins and his song, The Day That You Deserve. The incredible Foreign Air with their song, Maniac. The reggae vibes of Treehouse with their song, Genuine Love. Alina Rogers with her song, 9 Lives. My buddy Justin Clyde Williams with his tune, No Demise. The incredible Keith Allen Circus with It's All Love. And Alex Harris featuring Kanya Das with their song, Better. Now, all the way from Africa on the We Global Radio, we have the Jazz Hop Cooker with African Voices. Kobe Deer with I Won't Lie. Halen Frost with In Dieser Leer, from Belgium, by the way. Vio Flesh with Within the Veil. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with Eyes Like the Sky. Miley Taylor with West Coast and their song Slip. Abrilia with Moulama. This has been Greasy Keys in the rBeatz VIP Suite. Be sure to check out all these amazing artists and be on the lookout for the next edition of the Watch List presented by rBeatz. Peace.
And we're back. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks, friend.
So we were talking about the high country. We were talking about where it was. So what is different about the scene up there, in your opinion?
Daniel's definitely had way more experience in the scene than I have over a longer span of time, for sure. It's been interesting because, like, we've been talking about the venues up that way sometimes, and, you know, there's a big gap, actually. So you've got places like Boone Saloon, and at this point, I guess, like Betsy's Barn would kind of get counted
Is that
into
the one
that,
you're talking
too.
about in Todd?
Yeah. And
so let's definitely give them a shout out because you
like,
loved that place last time.
Oh, it was fun. It was a good time. It was a very cool experience. Go Adam Church. So yeah, it's you've got these very, very small places and a lot of bars. So you have those, like, a ton of 3-hour bar gig kind of things, which is the majority of what we play as of now. But we're kind of like working towards, you know, more original stuff. But, you know, there's Appalachian Theater and the Schaefer Center, and, you know, there's definitely tons of concerts happening up that way. But we're finding ourselves at a bit of a interesting situation, trying to grow, but not being quite big enough to do things frequently, like App Theater or...
Yeah, because you're trying to... The goal of every artist in that plays, you know, in any independent situation, if they're trying to be a national artist or an international artist, the first thing to grow, obviously, you start off with bar and restaurant gigs. Yeah. And you're out there as much as you can be because you're trying to build your brand. You want people to see your face. Hopefully you have an email list because you want them to sign up for the email list.
Working on that.
Well, that's data. And that's one of the things. I might even do a whole show on that because it's not just having the email names. It's actually what should you put in it. Because artists build up this thing in their head where I'm going to create this newsletter. Oh my gosh, you know how long that's going to take? And you know, how all the things you have to put together to do that effectively.
Right.
They just need to see about you. I mean, you look at any email list from a speaker, from an organization, even from marketing companies, it's usually about 4 paragraphs and updates on what's going on, but making those people feel like they're part of it because they're your fans. Yeah. You know, and they're part of you. It's more than fans, like they're a tribe. They're followers, they're supporters. You know, it's almost like a family thing. You look at bands like Grateful Dead and Jimmy Buffett that just mastered Dave Matthews. You know, even they mastered this kind of thing. Doesn't matter if they ever have a radio hit. They got a following, concert following that's built up to, you know, 20,000 people in these cities that they go into. That's really the way it should be done. You know, they should have their own name. You know, the Swifties or the Parrot Heads or the Deadheads or, you know, whatever it is, because it should be, you know, a community. And the email list is where you have the data for that. And that's the one thing the streaming, other than a couple of new ones, I think like Volcano, maybe Even, which Even is more of a super fan platform than a streaming service, but they give you the data, like you're involved, you know, in that. And having those email addresses, that's gold. I mean, that's how you're going to sell product. So I definitely recommend that part. But, you know, in that, you're trying to transition into ticketed places, you know, ticketed venues. Yes. So your social media and your marketing to these areas, trying to target, okay, I'm going to target these 5 cities, let's say, or towns to start off with, and then we're going to work our social media that way. We're going to look at who's the media in those towns, like what local affiliate can we get on? Is there an independent station that we even have a shot with? Like, in Dallas, North Carolina, they have WSG, I think it is, which is like a college radio station that a lot of good independent artists, get interviewed on. So there are things like that help, build that, to develop that. But that is the goal to get to the ticketed venues, right?
For sure.
So it is a growth thing. But you guys already have the music. Your social media is great. Your live, it is. Your social, your live videos that you've had put out, you've had quality. I got to say one thing, and this could be a high country thing. Yeah. It could be the gospel section that you come from that I like to talk about, but there's this harmony that you guys start off with. Most bands, they got the lead singer, that's it. But you guys got this harmony thing that it has bluegrass tinges, it has gospel tinges, it has country. How did that develop? What gave you the idea of that? Because it's like everybody in the band sings, on these harmonies. So they got the whole crew.
Yeah, we've got 3 of us on there out of the 4. And you must have seen Sam, is what I'm assuming that you might have seen.
It seemed like it was at a festival or something.
Yeah. I think it probably was Sam by Sturgill Simpson. We do a little mashup of Sam and You Can Have the Crown by Sturgill Simpson. And it starts off with those harmonies. So that's Daniel and Ray and I on those. And I don't know, how did that come about?
Yeah, it's really just, it goes back to that bringing our own backgrounds to stuff, and a lot of the stuff. Ray and I have known each other for almost 15 years probably. Been playing together, and that's just always been a part of what we were doing. Whether it was singing in church choir or whatever it is, or doing bluegrass songs locally. You hear a lot of that. That's pretty common around Boone. There's a lot of that folk bluegrass.
All over the hills,
happening,
Western North Carolina.
Yes.
You hear it anytime you listen to music. It's not just one lead singer. You go see a band and you don't even know who the lead singer is, because there's 4 or 5 people up there. They're taking turns on songs. We don't take it to that level, but we've just always liked, the different flavor that brings to the songs.
Is it because she threatens you if anybody else sings?
We know they're not there to hear that.
So, do you guys do like an acapella song anywhere in the show?
Just Sam. That's the only one that ever kicks off
you need to develop an acapella song that's in part of your show. Maybe that comes in, because the way you develop the show, like a heart monitor.
Yeah.
And it's more than a song list. There are moments. I had Tom Jackson on the show. He's a master of this. He's a guy that trained Taylor and quite a few people. But
very cool.
That's the thing he does, is he shows you how to create the moments.
Yeah.
And in that, like maybe 3 or 4 places into the show, you have that moment that's just so different, and people wouldn't expect it if you just come up there and you just have this blow you away harmony song. We used to have that with a gospel group we worked with called the Martins when I was with my brother's company, Showcase Management, and that they became so known for putting those moments in their show that they ended up doing a complete a cappella album that sold really well.
Wow.
Because so many people were fans of that. So it's a great additive to the show.
I think we've actually talked about that, trying to get a few songs that are similar to ones that we absolutely love, and Sam was one of those. So
yeah, and most bands cannot pull that off, but you guys could pull that off super well. It could be something that you're known for.
Yeah.
In your career, let's talk about this, the business side of it. Your business decisions, like choosing a producer, selecting a venue, picking the single. How have you found? Is there any particular part of that that's been kind of really surprisingly important?
Any thoughts right now? I got one.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah? Okay. So, a friend of my dad's side of the family, long story short, his name's Dave Harris, and he has Studio B Mastering here in Charlotte.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows Studio B in Charlotte.
Yeah, so that's Dave. And he's known my dad's side of my family like my whole life. And he I don't know anything about the music business, I'm starting to learn, but I didn't as of when I was trying to kind of make plans to record the EP. I didn't know of producers that I could reach out to, so I just reached out to Dave and I said, "Hey, can you give me a suggestion as to who I might be able to start with? Like, this is the kind of position that we're in. We're just getting started." This was back in very early 2023. And so he gave me these 3 different names and 3 different locations, one of which was here in Charlotte, which, in addition to it being convenient because my parents lived 45 minutes from the studio, just the vibe of the studio itself was really what I was hoping for, just like a very relaxing environment, kind of cozy. So Susu Studio is where I went, and Jason Scavone that you had the preview there, or the intro video.
Yeah, people love him as a guest.
He was the producer of that first EP, and so we had just met through.
Some great ones.
He has done some awesome things, and then Jonathan Erickson that was with him. He actually is the one that played drums on the EP. Because Ray was not available at the time, and we were kind of getting started with playing full band again, and so that's where that came from, though, on the producer side of things. So.
Yeah, it was great working with him. We're probably going to be getting in with him again next year. We've worked with a handful of other folks as well, just, people that we know who are doing stuff either coming out of App State or just local in Boone. We tracked our last couple singles with Brandon Hall, just a friend in Boone. Some of our very first stuff that we did years ago, we took a break, stopped playing for a little while, and then came back. But some of that first stuff we did was with a friend of mine at App, Michael Lacrone, who is now touring with Turnpike Troubadours, running sound with them. So you're welcome, Michael, for your career. But, whether it's just word of mouth, people that you know, people that you don't know, just the same as, what we're bringing to the songs, those guys are all going to have a different approach to stuff. We've been somewhat figuring out what our sound exactly is. Do we lean more into the country? Do we lean more into
honestly,
the blues or soul?
I think you found your sound.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, you're still learning about the business, but your sound, to me, is pretty developed. Like it has an identity, and the lyrics have as much to do with that, as the music, because like I said, real stories. There was a band years ago called Woodstick. And I went to visit them in their home, and they lived what they sang about.
Yeah.
For sure. It was almost kind of spooky, going to that. They lived way back, and they would get to play all these colleges, but they were these older bluegrass guys with these long beards and rebel attitude from God knows where, and these college kids loved them. They would play University of Georgia, these big stages, things like that, and have all these dry, smart aleck answers to everything. They were just really cool to hang out with. But, after they ended, I didn't see anything like that again. I see something like that in you guys. That I could see you playing the college market as well as, the roots indie scene, independent country, when it comes to the stations, because that's where you get started. Once a label were to sign you, of course, there's a whole different market, involved in that.
Yeah.
But you have an identifiable sound that could attract brands, that, could attract that part of it. And it's learning about the music industry and how it works. And I knew that's new to a lot of artists because I met you at a music conference. And here's something I have to say. There are a lot of artists out there, that a majority of artists that just don't go to things like music conferences. They don't attend the seminars. They don't attend the workshops. And what I hear a lot is, and I'll call this out, because it needs to be called out.
Yeah.
But what I hear a lot is, man, we just want to play. We just want to do our art. Well, then be a hobbyist. But if you're trying to break into the music business, you really need to understand the business side of it, especially today with all the competition. But you have a lot of opportunity, and you have more opportunity than you've ever had. And so it's understanding that. And that conference you were at, they had pianists from the Grammys there, and you had Roger, who was former head of Berkeley, and Mag from Even. They had the founder of Even, at this place. So it's a lot of great networking. You listen to the concert promoters and what they were looking for. That's the business, side of it. So obviously, some of the business because you've been through that. I always say that everybody's starting points book-wise should be maybe All That You Need to Know About the Music Industry or Music Business by Donald Passman.
Okay, yeah.
And with a lot of the modern stuff is how's it called? Making It in the New Music Industry with Ari Herstand. Those to me are the best, books out to learn the industry in general. But there's so many podcasts and, things to
tell me about it.
To learn from. I recommend this one with Terry Hudson.
I do too.
Local music somewhere.
It's great, y'all. You should watch it.
He tries to, help the artist and work with them and supports them and shows up at the shows.
Yeah.
But anyway, in all seriousness, back to what you're doing here. Artists struggle with branding and marketing.
Yeah.
Any advice to them just from what you've learned so far? And don't think that you can't give advice, because there are people trying to start this that have not started this yet.
Yeah.
And they were at that scary point where you were and had to call a producer. Who do we get as producer? Like, how do we get involved? How do we at least get our name out there? You've gotten your name out there, so even if it's 10% above what somebody else knows, they need to know this knowledge. And the music fans, it's like pulling back the curtain. So what would you say?
It's been a struggle, majorly. I would say just start. Like, I think that's what, looking back, and don't have any regrets and all of that. But, you look back and I think about how much I could have been doing, even during a time where I wasn't playing music out. And so, as much as I have this like love-hate relationship with social media, I am, over the past 2.5 years of like trying to follow podcasts on TikTok, like the my 0.4 cents or whatever it is that Jesse Cannon and Matt Bacon and a couple of other folks do, and like Songwriter Soup and all of these different podcasts that I listen to, they're like, in the past, it's never been as accessible as it is now. And so I would say just start. Like, throw up your phone, make a TikTok. It doesn't matter if it's good. I'm still putting out really bad things right now, and I'm learning. But the point is, you have to post and you have to start somewhere. Like, don't wait for, it's kind of like waiting for a record deal. Like, if that's something that somebody wants, which that's not something that I'm necessarily thinking about, but like, you want this thing, but you're waiting for somebody to do it for you, and you can't do that. Yeah. Like, you have to just
it does not happen.
Get your nose on the grindstone and do the dang thing. So
I did have a recent guest on, Steve Taylor. His first performance, he put together a band. Somebody said, put together a band. His first performance, puts together a band. A major label approaches him, and he gets signed that night of his first concert. Now, and we joked about that, with him being on the show. He went on to have a great career. He's produced stars. Now he's a film producer and all of that. But in that never, ever, happens. We know. So you just don't sit there and things float your way. You get out there and you say we don't have regrets. Oh, we have regrets. You look at your ninth grade picture and what you were wearing and what, your hair was. We have regrets. Yeah. We just didn't know things at the time.
Right.
So you might look back at stuff, regret it. But it's better to have those kind of regrets than the regret of I never tried.
Oh, gosh.
Because if this is your dream and it's your calling and it's put in you and you don't step forward, I almost think you owe an answer to God for that.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just put that
I had
first
a
foot
miserable
forward.
4 years. We had a hiatus of exactly 4 years to the day when I was working for App State's admissions office, which I started right after I got done with undergrad. And that's kind of when I met him, and we started playing, like, we might have played 10 shows or so during the first year and a half or so that I knew him. And I completely jumped ship and started traveling for work and applied to grad school and did that while I was working full time for admissions, and did not see them or talk to them for 4 years to the day, and it ate me alive every minute of that 4 years. Ate me alive. So we're back on track now.
Yeah, I mean, you watch any Rocky movie or anything like that when somebody's not doing what they're supposed to do, and they just are miserable in what they're doing. Even if what they're doing is good, it's not what they're supposed to be doing, so they're miserable. Yeah. And so take the steps in this. You are going to do stupid things at first. Yeah. That's the fear you have to get over.
You have to be cringy.
People are going to think I'm cringy. Well, they are, and you're going to be cringy.
Yes.
But the people that are not afraid to be cringy go on to great things.
Exactly.
The people that are afraid to be cringy sit there and they're playing video games, in their home for the rest of their lives, or
making fun of the people posting the cringy stuff too.
Yeah. There are people that are made for cubicles and made for offices, and they love that, and that's their life, and they live for it. And those are people called to that.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in there and you're like, oh God, I got to look at this screen one more time. And and you're in your car and you're hearing that bass line that you love and you're really singing along with, you're the person who needs to be out of that office doing this, or at least work that job and develop this other thing.
Yes.
You can split times, but it will kill your soul if you're not doing, what you're supposed to be doing. So I thought that was great advice. There's something written about you that says you have a commanding stage presence. And I think that everybody in this band has commanding stage presence. You guys, there are few bands, I talked about this a few times on the show, but it's something when I say I love real stuff. I love those bands that you could set up in a restaurant, a street corner, a concert stage. It wouldn't matter the lighting, anything that happens, and people would be drawn to that because they know how to resonate and they're going to bring something. I think you guys have that. Is there any specific thing that you learned that caused you to have that? Because you're fearless. Like when you show up, your eyes.
Yeah, you tell him, Terry. Tell all the lies, Terry. I'm telling.
But it doesn't matter what you're thinking in your head.
I know. Yeah.
I know the imposter syndrome, and we all have that.
Big time.
Everybody in the music industry has faced that. Anybody creative. But when you're able to walk up, and that audience's view of you is your eyes are, I can't even set you on fire in a good way. That's real.
Yeah.
What it takes to pull that out of you, is a whole other thing. But what is your process for getting there?
Oh my gosh. Daniel has helped me significantly with this. It is such a struggle for me. Like I want to sing the song and I want you to close your eyes and not even worry about the entertainment factor, because it's like I have
worship me as I sing.
No, it's not nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, if you take the visual aspect of it away and like the presence of it, like in the past when we first started playing together again, which was 2022, I was, still had my little iPad set up there with all my words on the screen and like scrolling through stuff and like kind of just standing in place and not really saying things well into the microphone unless it was a song. And I always had like a lot of confidence where the vocals were concerned. But beyond that, when it comes to the presence aspect of things, I'm seriously to this day struggling very, very hard with that. It's gotten a heck of a lot easier in the past year. I think that's been the most progress that I've had is this past year. And that's thanks to a lot of what he's helped me out with, because you've just had so much more performance experience than me. And so, you're a
really good front person.
Well, I'm glad you think so. It's a work in progress, my friend.
And when we go to you for this, because we're in the world of social media and digital streaming and all those things, what role does live performance play for you guys?
We've always wanted our quality to match up live with, if you listen to us on Spotify or whatever. That's always been a priority for us. Is there's a lot of bands that can sound great in the studio. They can sound great on social media. You do enough work, and not to discount the talent that's there, but we wanted to be able to step on stage and people are going to hear something that's going to catch your attention. We're not looking for a following because we're doing weird antics or whatever. We want to put on a good show, but we want it to sound good. And so that's always been a priority. That affects the writing some too. We're not trying to overproduce anything to the extent that we then can't reproduce it. But that's really been our big push is, we have the presence online, we do the social media stuff, but really our goal is if we get people out to a show and, they hear her voice and they hear, this tight rhythm section, it's got a good groove, people are able to be a part of that. That's our goal. That's where we think people are going to start following along.
Yes, that's a great answer. Well, I would like to show them what you can do. So, did you bring a hymnal? And
pick up that guitar, dear.
Yeah, pick up that guitar. Let's make something happen.
Yeah, we can do that.
This is flying by. I'm really enjoying this, Terry. Thank you so much for having us.
Me too. I like people that talk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I can do a little bit of that. I'll have,
When you have to.
Yeah. It's easier with people that I know, so thank you for being so sweet.
What song is that?
We doing George?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We can change it if you want.
Let's do it.
I think I might have mentioned this during the thing instead of beforehand. But essentially I went to a Christian school as a kid, and my elementary school principal had a paddle, and she would carry it around the school, and she called him George, and everybody knew who George was, and that's where this came from. inspired partly by Bus Route by Tyler Childers. So this is Old George. It was the first single off of our EP. So, yeah.
This is not our more serious side of
That's true.
our music.
This is fun.
Starlarkin was one bad mother, head honcho at the Christian school. In a Podunk County in North Carolina, she'd crack a smile every couple blue moons. Smoke like a freight train, 2 packs a day. Pall Mall butts outside the window in the grass. One day she found that poppin' boy smoking with that old paddle to his ass. She called him Old George, Old George. He had a vibe about as bad as a snake. George, oh George, you leave a mark for a couple of days. Burn like fire, we cut like a knife. We put the fear of God in our minds. Oh George, oh, little leather loop at the end with its whiskey. Everything tied right around her wrist. We said, yes ma'am, no ma'am, never gave any lip. 'Cause we knew she wasn't afraid to let him rip. George, oh George, he had a vibe about as bad as a snake. Well, George, oh George, you leave a mark for a couple of days. We burn like fire, we cut like a knife. We put the fear of God in our minds. Oh George, snuck through the window that she'd left unlocked. Stole him off the hook beside the grandfather clock. Took him to the woods and burned him to ash. Put him in a jar along with the thatch. So long, old George, you had a vibe about as bad as a snake. George, oh George, you leave a mark for a couple of days. We burn like fire, we cut like a knife. We put the fear of God in our minds. Oh George, oh, so long, oh George, oh, oh George. Oh George.
Old George. Tell them the website where they can find you guys.
PresslyLaton.com. And it has all of our shows that are coming up. We're on Bands in Town. Our music releases are on there, so you can get everything from that site. We'd love your support.
And incredible live performance.
Thank you
Thank
so
you guys
much.
very much. You're so much fun.
Thank you for having us.
Now, you heard them. Go tell your friends about them. Tell them about rBeatz. And we had Pressly Laton. And we had Brother Daniel Ames on the show today. And don't forget Austin and Ray.
Yes.
When you go see them live and go show these guys some love, go visit the website. Until next time, much love. See you
Thank
next
y'all.
time.